I'm Nancy Kirkman.
And Nancy, you're just an amazing mother, because not only have you got your own child that's injured, but you run organizations to help people as well.
I am an area coordinator, a co-coordinator for San Diego for Talk About Curing Autism, and we're a national nonprofit of families helping families.
And great, we love, I call it TACA, but I think it's TACA, isn't it?
It's TACA.
It's just TACA, yes, okay, good. We love TACA, and if people who don't know TACA, look it up, because they do so much good work for so many people. So thank you for doing that.
Of course.
Right, so we're going to talk about your son. Take us back to as early as you can remember before his injury, because he was injured quite early, wasn't he?
He was injured, I think, at the 3-month vaccination point. He came out jaundiced, so and he had low muscle tone. So in retrospect, he ought not to have been vaccinated at all. He didn't really have the best of feeding skills for a baby. And all of these things indicated that he had some things going on where he should not have been vaccinated. So early on, we were trying to be good parents and follow our doctor's instructions. And, he just had a horrible reaction to his 3-month vaccines, where he would scream uncontrollably in a very high-pitched, like he was being tortured, and it would last for days. And even still, we didn't, didn't put it together that it was the vaccines that were doing it. And we just saw him slowly fade away, from a cute little smiley interactive guy to just literally by 12 months old, there was just nothing. And even my mother said, he doesn't even react like a pet. When we call our dog's name, he looks up and turns his head, and she's like, your son. It doesn't even react the same way, that the family pet does. We would call his name, and it got to the point where he would just sit in a corner, flip a truck, and spin the wheel, and that was it. He didn't notice if we came or went. He didn't respond to his name, and I had to beg for him to be assessed at 12 months old, because they said, well, boys are just like that. And I said, well, I don't really know of any boy that is like this. And they said developmentally, he was not even on the map. For a 1-year-old, they said he's comparable to like a 1-month-old, so he was really hardly hit before, and they strongly recommended that we find a long-term facility to put him in, because they said no one would be able to handle the amount of care that he needed. So at 12 months old, they said, we don't even suggest that you try, to put him in a facility, to not even try to parent him.
They're suggesting you don't even try and parent
right.
him.
It took me 7 years with occupational therapy, 7 years to teach him how to chew. I was up making every bit of food that he had from scratch and pureeing it into a glop. And I would put a bite in and he would throw it up, and I would put a bite in and he would throw it up. When it came to trying to feed himself, he couldn't even really he didn't really know where his own mouth was. So, 7 years of, 2-hour meal sessions of take a bite. It took us, just to get chewing down, 7 years.
How old is he now?
He's 10.
Describe what the vaccines have taken from him. He should have had a life, as all of our children,
right,
as a typical 10-year-old. But what is a day like for your son?
He has extremely low muscle tone. He has, his motor planning and executive function are not there. So even just in terms of he's unable to dress himself. He has a hard time knowing where the sleeve is, and so he just can't even put on his own clothes. He cannot bathe himself. We have to help him with teeth brushing. All of the facets of daily living. He's finally feeding himself, but there's only about, 6 foods that he will allow us to give him, or he'll, completely devolve. So,
at any point in his life, has any medical professional acknowledged the vaccines about your son?
Well, only the ones that we've sought out that are specific to helping children with autism, but any mainstream doctor, no. They don't even want to treat us. There's a kind of recurrent of, you've done something here, and, it's kind of, oh, is he violent? Is he going to harm anybody? Do we need any? No, he's not. He's going to slam your cupboard if you make us wait an hour and a half for our appointment. But that's about it.
And just remind everyone again, Describe how he was before he was injured. You're his mother.
He was smiley. He had eye contact with us. He enjoyed being cuddled. The typical. He was adorable. And then it was gone. He couldn't stand. Loud noises sent him into a screaming fit. I mean, still to this day, cutting his hair causes extreme amounts of screaming to the point where people think that we're harming him and we're just giving him a haircut. He has extreme sensory issues. He cannot handle crowds, loud noises. His eye contact is, not typical. Just a very low tone. He fatigues very easily.
So for those people that say what happened to your son and my son, this is rare. You work in Tarka, locally here.
Right.
What are you seeing? How many children? I'm not asking for a number, but...
It's prevalent. It's very prevalent. I have one neurotypical child, and even at her school, when I walk around, I see traits. And these are quote-unquote typical children without a diagnosis, and there's a lot of toe walking, there's a lot of hand flapping, there's a lot of kind of strange behavior. And when I mentioned to the principal, I said, you seem to have a lot of autistic children in this school, and she said, I know, but they're not even on an IEP, and they don't have, so when I hear that it's an overdiagnosed condition, I think the opposite. It's underdiagnosed, because parents don't want to have that label on their child, and if your child can at all function, they act like it's not there. But I see the neurological symptoms that are similar to my children in typical children.
So what is your advice to the young mum that's about to take her child in for vaccine?
Don't vaccinate. At a minimum, read up on it. At a minimum, delay and find out an alternate schedule, and do not do all of them in one day with a newborn or a 3-month-old.
Underestimate what life is like living with severe vaccine injury.
They don't understand what it's like for us, and we seem like we're coping reasonably well, and they don't understand the length and breadth of it. I mean, teaching 7 years to teach someone how to chew. I mean, honestly, moving their jaw, pushing food down on the back of their molars. I mean, he chews now. He does. You
are an amazing person. You're an amazing mother, and we're just so grateful for the work that you do for us. I can see you've got so much pain there. It breaks my heart to see that. I'm really sorry. Look, come here. These people are going to give you some love. See? All those hearts. They're for you. It's exhausting, isn't it?
Yes.
There you go.
And we're so criticized by the public whenever we go out, too. I don't think people understand what it's like to have somebody come up to you and swear and use terrible language in front of your children and say, get that fucking retard out of my shop.
Is that here in Santa Monica?
In San Diego?
San Diego, I mean, sorry.
And at that point, when my son was little, my husband was active duty in the military, and so he was gone. And I was here alone with a severely autistic son and another child and then a baby. So I'm like, we need to buy groceries just like you do. What would you recommend I do?
Can you hold that a second here?
We have to be out in public just like everybody else does.
And we have to stick together. All of us, everybody, Periscope, Autism Mothers, we are vaxxed. We have to stick together. We cannot allow this. We cannot allow people to call our children those names. We keep telling our stories, and we're going to band together, and we're going to live together and build futures together. Okay? We're not going to leave you on your own. Or your son.
Thank you.
And I'll have your son any day.
He's adorable.
Yeah, exactly. Of course he's adorable, and this should never, ever have happened to him. So... this woman has so much pain. It's so sad. These hugs or love is from everybody, okay? They're not here to give you love, but they know your face now. So if they pass you in the street, you might get some random hugs. Should we go and put his name on that?
Yes, please. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, your son's number is 4695. Okay. Now, pen.
Here.
This is my Jesus box. Thank you very much. I don't know who gave me that. I can't remember, but whoever it was, I love you. Pens, right. 4695. You ready?
Yes.
So let's go and find a spot on the back. Now be very careful coming out of here. You can see that. Alright, so let's find a spot.
Oh, that's overwhelming how many spots are taken.
The back of the bus is very dirty. We do keep cleaning it, but every time we go out, we... Next to the lovely Stephen Williams. Do you know this lady?
I do.
She needs to be loved. Okay, we're coming off social media. Back on again in 2 seconds with another story.
Thank you guys. I'm upset over this.
We will always be upset over
I
this.
just, I don't think I realized. And our child gets larger and larger. I mean, so, you think they'll get better when they're little, and, he's approaching my size, and, well over 100 pounds.
I know.
It's like, oh my gosh, when we...
That's got 6'4" Billy.
Yeah, well,
I do know.
that's our projected height also. If we're lucky, it'll only be that. Thank you for calling attention to it.